Hello and welcome to Personal Evolution Unlimited podcast. I am your host, Tanya St-Lawson, and I would like to invite you to today's episode with Su Winsbury. Su guides driven women on the brink of burnout back into harmony with their body, soul, and inner wisdom. With a deep and broad understanding of wellness and the interconnectedness of nature and humans, she has spent more than 20 years working in the field of holistic health, empowerment, and spiritual growth. She refers to herself as a gentle disruptor and feels it is a soul calling to help others recognize and embrace the wonder and potentiality of who they are. When we feel safe enough to take off the exhausting mask of having it all together, life becomes easier, more joyful and fully lived. Su also runs an off-grid glamping space in the West Sussex, England, which is focused on well-being, relaxation and detoxing from the busyness of life. And now, please dive into our talk. Maybe I just should tell you how this podcast started, so you know what it's really about. Basically, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be on camera, didn't want to be visible. I'm happy in my cave. But as we claircognizant people just hear the voice, hear the calling within our whole being. As like 3 years ago, well, it was maybe 10 years ago, it was already starting to, you need to do something like this. And I'm like, no, just forget it. It's not me. I will write, and writing is fine, and I'm happy with that. And then, like 3 years ago, I was thinking it was like knocking on the door, really. Maybe it wasn't knocking on the door anymore. Maybe it was kicking the door already. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I should start looking into maybe doing the podcast because I actually love listening to podcasts myself. And then I was invited as a guest to a podcast to talk about my own journey. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. Yes, now I know. Now I know what it's asking me to do. And basically, it's like, I had no plan. I just assembled what I had at home, just the equipment. And I started with the first one. I'm like, yep, I know it's wabi-sabi. I know it's authentic. I know it's co-creating from the life moment here and now. And whatever wants to come through us, it just comes through us. So I go totally on intuition. And that's why I'm like, when people ask me, oh, do you have preparation? Do you send questions out? Well, I'm like, no, it's like a river. We jump in with the first question or the first topic that comes up, and we just see where it takes us. So it's just like, and the way I am inviting people is totally, they just shine at me. It's like when you're looking at the night sky and there is just like a star that goes like this, like a bit more. Again, it's very intuitive. So I'm like, oh yes, okay, this person. So that's how I do things.
I love it. I love it, and I love the fact that you don't have questions, and it's just that's because that's a conversation, isn't it? That's just how conversation moves and flows, and I think I've been on podcasts where I've had questions, and I kind of get very prepared and set, and then I think the conversation gets a bit more stilted because you think, okay, so I know what the next question is, I know what I need to say, and it's much more organic.
Yes, organic is the word, and that's how life is. Also, like minimal editing because, yeah, you don't edit life too much either. You just live it, right? So I always say, okay, if your partner is running behind you or kids, semi-naked, or the cat sits on the keyboard, that's fine because that's life. So
I
just
have told my partner because my office is next to the garage and he wants to get his tractor out, and I said, no, you can't.
oh dear, so he will be waiting.
Yeah.
I usually tell my husband as well, but he doesn't always remember, but he's at work today, so there will be no interruptions. Otherwise, we will have this Australian just running in asking questions. Right. Well, you know what? I just really want to ask you about claircognizant to claircognizant, right? How was the year of the wood snake that we call wood snake, that type of energy. How was the past year for you? You know?
Um, it's been interesting, especially more on reflection than sort of being in it. But I've noticed, particularly towards the end of the year, how many things have fallen away,
Mm,
how many things have just kind of dropped off. I spent a lot of time really trying to settle into a shift in my work, a shift in my offerings, and I'm trying to get clarity on what that was because I could feel it, but I couldn't articulate it. And I was just like, this, this, this is coming through, and it was very much about bringing nature into my work as a really sort of core piece. Um, and then I've just found like I've had various other fingers in pies and done work for other people. And the end of last year, it was just like, actually, we're not going to be doing that training anymore. So you're not going to be needed. And I'm like, oh, well, that's that gone then. so so things have just naturally fallen
mm,
away.
mm,
Um, and I've done a lot of kind of clearing of myself and kind of refining where I'm going. So it's been,
mm.
I wouldn't say I've had any massive traumatic events. I know a lot of people have had
Thankfully.
big
Yeah.
things. But yeah, there's definitely been this sort of slow shedding, bit like a snake.
Mm,
It's been like
yeah. Yeah.
a bit of a slidey journey, backwards and forwards and weaving in and out. And now I feel like I'm just sort of sliding out the end. And I started this year really slowly. There was
Mhm.
again
Yeah.
this knowing was just like, you do not rush. You just actually need to shred documents and get rid of old client notes and tidy up your finances and all of those things. So I've really sort of just been focusing on clearing the decks. And again, it was this just core thing. It's like, this is what you have to do. Don't worry about anything else. Just shred paper.
Oh my God, I'd so resonate with that because there is a type of urgency because there's a lots of activity. Some people are already running the marathon, and yeah, I'm like within myself exactly having the same like you. Um, my own timing is saying no, not yet. Just just stay, and take it slow, and don't go out yet too much. Don't give things out because they are still settling. I was describing it to someone like it's the is the I like your word because I love this word chrysalis because I've seen that you're using the word chrysalis. That's exactly the chrysalis moment after the last year. We are still in the energy of the snake, and it's that like this dragonfly that just hatched and sitting in the sun, and the wings are still wet. And it's like you have to wait for the wings to settle and dry out. And there are already like dragonflies and all the other things like flying by. And you're like, not yet. My wings are not dry yet. So am I think. But it's hard with the urgency around,
I
because there
was
is that undercurrent.
I was just going to say it's really hard trusting that slowness and trusting that it's the right thing to do when everything else is just like, yeah, you need to be doing this and you must be doing this and yeah, that sort of collective push and speed and yeah, there's something so deep going, no, no, not yet.
You see, that's your wisdom. It's like lived wisdom speaking because you have done the work on your journey. Your journey was against just seeing like the serpent, through life, the life current going through so many different experiences and refining and then finally settling into the lived experience and lived wisdom. Because before I started to record, we were talking about trusting yourself, trusting your own experience and what you have learned. So, how did you get to this point? What was your life journey? as much as you want to, or as little as you want to talk about, whatever wants to come through.
Um, as always, there's so many facets that influence. My dad left when I was 4, my brother was 2, so I was the big sister, so I was the good girl.
Mm,
Um, so I kind of always had to be the good girl. I think I grew up quite quickly because I was a good kid. I wasn't naughty or anything. Um, but that's also something that we have to learn to kind of drop as we get older because we don't always want to be the good girl because that fits us into a box. And so
mm,
that was kind of one of my learnings. I had a lot of spiritual interest in my teens. I just knew there was so much more to life than what we see. I had various experiences. I had you could call it timeline jumping. So I remember having a conversation with some friends at school and then looking at them and saying, I already asked you about this. And they went, oh, no, we only went last night. So, and I've kind of had this conversation word for word. I lived the whole experience. I was about 14, 15. I was like, well, that was weird. Um, but that was the days where you just had a library. There was no such thing
mm,
as an internet. Yeah. So, and there wasn't a lot in the library where I lived. So I read Doris Stokes' books, and that was about all I could find. Um, and then I kind of packed it in a box for a while because I didn't really know what to do with it.
mm, mm,
So I just did normal sort of teenage and 20s things and went clubbing, went out with lots of boys, drank a lot of gin,
as you do.
all of that normal stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I I got married to someone who was very controlling. I did
Mm,
not listen to my intuition.
mm, mm,
So I I knew before the wedding that I shouldn't get married.
mm,
But the good girl came in and the people pleaser, and I didn't want to let everyone down because it was really close to the wedding. So I went ahead, and it was a marriage. We had good times, we had bad times. I got 2 amazing sons out of it, so I don't regret that at all.
mm,
But he was quite controlling, and I really lost myself, and that for me was like a turning point. But I also think it was a soul contract.
mm,
I knew on our first date that I was going to marry him.
mm,
So it was one of those interesting things where um, I had a lot of lessons to learn. And in fact, after he passed away, he came back and said, you had lessons to learn.
mm,
And I was just
mm,
like, yeah, I know what it was. I can see what it was all about. So, but that sort of then set me on the journey of personal development and diving deeper into myself. And then, as you're aware, once you're in the personal development world, there's so many rabbit holes.
yes.
And I also trained, when we were still together, I trained in spiritual healing because um, I'd seen a very random advertisement in the back of a local newspaper. And it was just one of those weird things where I was like, you're meant to see this.
Mm,
I
yeah,
wonder if
yeah,
that stuff
crossroad.
works. The only way I can know if it works is I'll go and train in it. So that's what I did. And it was literally like coming home. And I
Mm,
remember
mm,
sitting on this course going, oh, here I am. I've put my comfy slippers on. I've been wearing painful stilettos in my work, and now I've got my comfy slippers on, and this is where I'm meant to be.
it's more like remembering, right?
Yeah,
Than
yeah.
learning something new. Yeah.
So that kind of led me into loads and loads of different trainings and modalities, and um, how my work has evolved, sort of around that and around my personal life and things that interest me. And in human design, I'm a Mani Gen, so I like lots of different things. Um, I get inspired by lots of different things. So my work is constantly evolving. But
Mm,
then I'm
mm, mm.
evolving, so why wouldn't it?
Exactly. But it is about that's what we are here for, right? Because if we are not evolving, then we are stagnating. Stagnation is sort of death. It does lead to
Yeah.
death. So evolution is the only way. What was that in the energy healing arts that you find the most important for yourself, and where you see the things where people can get lost?
Ah, that's quite a big question.
I know. I don't give small questions. I'm afraid. I'm sorry. Just a little question. Take as much of it as you want to, or as little as you want to. You just choose.
So can you ask me again? I just need to
Yes,
process.
yes. Okay, so what in the healing arts, energy healing arts, is for you the most important thing, or maybe the thing that really like makes your heart sing?
I guess for me, it's it's empowerment and people taking self-responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I came from a background of kind of hands-on therapies where it was very much fixing people,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
now I'm just like, no, nobody actually needs fixing, and I don't want to be fixing anyone. I want to be giving people the tools and opening doors and giving them the insight so that they can do the healing themselves, but with support and guidance and someone else's wisdom, rather than me saying, I'm going to do this to you, and this is going
mm-hmm,
to make you, I don't know, happier or more confident or whatever. It's that let's work with this modality or this tool, or let's I'll ask you some questions, I'll do some coaching, or help you find your way so that people become fully responsible. I think that's
mm,
that's huge in the healing world. I find I even struggle sometimes with the word healing, because it's, again, that comes from like I'm doing something to someone, and um but I think we just want to give people the tools so they can do it
mm.
themselves.
Oh, absolutely. You see, that was a topic that also topic that we touched with Corina about embodiment, but it actually applies to all aspects of life and all the modalities that we use for our evolution. And it's about language because it's about kind of resetting how we use words and what the words actually contain. Because as I said, healing. It has kind of accumulated certain charge and certain nuances that are no longer actually helpful.
Mm,
So we are just all looking for the right words that describe what we mean, and it's about empowerment. It's about taking responsibility in the world that is more geared towards taking it away from you.
yeah,
So yeah, it's like we are all looking for new words like healing here. What do you actually put in there that denotes the responsibility, the empowerment, the sovereignty? Yeah, you can
yeah.
do it. You don't have to rely on system or on someone to do it for you. You can
No,
reclaim it
absolutely.
within yourself. Yeah.
But then there's still benefit in having someone supporting you through that, because we need other people to pick up on our blind spots, because we've all got them, or our
Yes.
shadows, or someone else can see things really clearly, and we're just like, no, I'm not like that, or I don't do that, or we just don't see them. So there is still very much that place for the guide or the mentor or whatever, the healer, even though it's not healing.
I totally agree. Actually, it's more needed, but it's no longer that there it's no longer in the hierarchy like the vertical one, but it's more in a circle. Like we are co-creating something together. Okay, I might be called coach or a mentor or a teacher, but actually there is no hierarchy.
Yeah.
No, we are just like sharing the journey, and in something I might be a bit ahead, but in other things you are ahead of things, so we are coming in co-creating. I'm noticing that actually there's the new era that we are finding our way into, um, kind of dropping the hierarchical thing. Someone
Mm.
is less, someone is more, right?
Yeah.
but we actually, yeah, we are co-creating. And even though I go to a healer, a mentor, a coach, a teacher, and I pay them money, um, it's still we are co-creating. I have my sovereignty, my responsibility there, and I am adding as much as that other person, but it's my decision because I know I have some blind spots that I need help with. So yeah, it makes perfect sense to me, actually more sense than ever before.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there is this, and it's such a good shift into that co-creation rather than the hierarchy or, I know more than you, but we don't always. And I think, our clients are always good teachers as well, because I'm very often I'll sit with a client and I'll have these like little realizations and go, oh,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's the mutuality. Thank goodness for mutuality. Ah, so where do you see yourself? I mean, I noted that you said that, and we talked about it off screen as well, when we were writing messages about working with nature, because that's another thing we really share. And you were saying you are having more new plans that are developing. So, um, tell me more about that, working with nature, being with nature.
So I mean, I've loved nature for a long time. And then two and a half years ago, my partner and I decided to buy a house together. And in my last house, I just had a little dream. So in 2020, 2021, I just had like a little dream, and it wasn't a big vision board or anything. It was just like, I just want to live somewhere with a bit more space. I was on an estate, so I
Mm.
had houses all around me. And I just want somewhere with a little bit more space, and I
Mm.
just want to grow more of my own vegetables. And
Mhm.
that was it. And so we decided to buy a house together, and we tried to buy somewhere for 9 months, and it was just a nightmare. I don't think the people actually really wanted to sell their house, and it was delay after delay, and we were really
Mm.
stressed. And in the
Mm.
end, we just went, we don't want this house anymore. And then this other one popped up, and it was just like, now it's ready for you. The house you're meant to be in is ready for you. And
Uh,
there were so many synchronicities. It was just like everything suddenly went dum, 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 dum. Oh, we're all falling into place now. It was the easiest purchase in the world, and we ended up with a house with 4 acres of land, which is really unusual, and a glamping site already in the grounds. So,
Perfect. If it's yours, right?
yeah,
With
it was
everything.
just like from the point where our initial viewing got rearranged and we ended up being the first people to view it. It was just like everything just when it was in complete alignment. So we inherited this amazing space with 3 glamping domes. They're all off grid, so it really kind of complements my passions, my values, my beliefs, and everything. And we have a little wood, and this piece of land speaks to me, and it I can feel it kind of it wants to be used for people's well-being. It really loves it. So um, I started doing like a little forest therapy course alongside all my other things, and my ideal is to do like very personalized retreats, so one-to-one retreats. So
Oh, that's what I do. That's perfect.
So yeah, so wellness retreats. It's very tailored to the individual. They come and stay in a
Mm.
glamping dome. We do whatever we need to do, whether it's grounding, whether it's sitting with the trees,
Mm.
deeper energy work. It's just whatever that person needs, and then they've got time to kind of recalibrate and rest and relax and be away from the busyness of the world. So
Oh, beautiful. Oh
that's
goodness, yeah, unplugging from all the hectic stuff going on around.
yeah, and people need it. They so need it. I just think
Mm.
everyone is so attached to technology more than they realize. And I went to London this week, and there's this thing called raw dogging, which is where you don't do anything. So I sat on the train, and I just sit. So I won't get my phone out. I'll just sit. But I looked at everybody else, and I'm like, everybody's glued to their phones or their laptops, or some people have two phones and a laptop on the go. And I can, so I just realised my phone wasn't on silent, so I just turned it off just in case. So for me, it's people don't realise how much stress there is and how much pressure from the constant. I don't know whether it's email pings or getting lost in a scrolling Facebook or Instagram for hours on end and all of those things. And it's really detrimental to our health and it's cutting us off from nature.
Mm,
And
mm.
I just think for well-being, being back in nature is so grounding. Um, and I also think on a spiritual side, we've everyone's been talking about ascension for years and years, but it's all gone very up here. And
Yes, I've forgotten the body is somewhat forgotten behind and is the only vehicle for ascension
yeah,
or any alchemy, any internal alchemy. Exactly. It's I always say, the body is the alchemy cauldron that we experience here, including spiritual stuff, energy stuff. It's all going through the body and is being transmitted through the body. And anything we create, we have to create through the physical body. So it's just we can't leave it behind.
yeah, yeah. So, and again, it was a one of my claircognizant things was like we've got to bring nature back into that connection with nature because it's so profound and it's kind of that's almost where the ascension is in the nature connection and in the earth. It's not up in the sky somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact is that the easiest connection back to ourselves, to our own nature, living nature, is through the nature outside there. Because that reminds us it's like our mirror. But at the same time, it's not just reflective, like AI is reflective mirror in some ways too. It's got that nature, but it's a living organism, and it's just kind of welcoming and interactive, and it changes us, and we through interacting with it change our environment that we inhabit. So yeah, it's that interaction instead with the just with the technology. Balance. We need balance, right?
Yeah, and we are designed to work with it. We're that's how I always think this physical body is the most incredible
Mm.
design. I call it a feat of engineering. I don't really know what else to call it, but it's just an incredible design, and it
Mm.
is made to work in coherence with the natural world.
I like that you say the word coherence because claircognizance, that word is coming to me all the time. That right now and for the future, or at least next few years, that's something that we will have to really work with and focus on, and it is coherence of our own system. And when I say system, I don't mean just nervous system or physical system, but I mean altogether the wholeness of it, including the energy system, the whole, body mind thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, all aspects. So to be in coherence, because basically, if we had to summarize what is really wrong at the moment, what's causing all the feeling of dis-ease and so on, in whatever form, is that there is no coherence in our system.
yeah,
And we are just like overwhelmed by all the things that are causing incoherence in the system.
yeah, absolutely. But that's also go off on a different tangent here, but that I do see that as almost being by design, so that because when we're in that coherent state, we are very sovereign. We've used the word sovereignty. We remember our sovereign selves, and we are very strong, and we become very powerful, and we've got so much untapped ability or forgotten ability, I think, within all of us.
Mm.
But um, then to keep people out of coherence keeps them weaker and malleable.
I just wasn't sure if I was going to like ready to talk about this, just to put it out there. But it's not a conspiracy theory. It makes sense when you work with systems like we do, because we do work with systems, and we work with the physical, but also with the subtle system
Mhm.
and or systems. When you look at it and when you perceive it, and you have the long-term experience of working with systems, you can pick up those things. You can pick up that it's what is by design and what is just happening because of the, let's say, local circumstances or personal circumstances. And the more I'm looking into the wider system, it makes sense. It's also logical if you think about it only from cerebral or conceptual way. Because, yes, how do you make sure so many systems are in a structure that the society requires in some ways? Yeah.
Very carefully worded.
Yeah, I'm trying to be diplomatic, but I think maybe I should not be diplomatic. Maybe I just should say it as it is. Yes, there is control. We know it all. We just don't want to maybe like, go out and say it and start the waves.
I think it's a part of human evolution, and one of the things that I've always known from definitely from teenage years was that there was going to be this massive shift in the world and how things are perceived, and kind of things have got to change, and I've always known that certain things in the main world would have to crumble um, for something better to emerge, and I think we're kind of in the midst of that, and I think the emergence is this greater awareness of the need for coherence and um, love and connection and community and really nice positive things.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, there needs to be balance in that too. Yeah, and it's not about being like being optimistic without being realistic. Because yeah, you need to balance out what's going on. There's a lots of distortion going on, but if you are really plugged into media all the time and reporting, there is just so many different biased views,
Mm.
and there is just so much manipulation with emotional energy, or emotional response, that is making the world look like there is only bad things. And there are lots of bad things, but when you look at positive news, there is also the balancing force of people being good, or good things happening, good projects being developed, and so on. But as you said, it is almost like a cosmic law that when certain system or certain things reach its like uppermost point, like the yin to yang, we
Mm.
have been into yang a lot, then obviously, it has to go the other way and the old system needs to break down. I mean, like let's look at history, like Roman Empire and the fall of the Roman Empire. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a time that was a heyday. It was growing, but not so great means, but that's a human history and evolution. And then it just reads the 12 o'clock and it crumbled into dust. So I guess we are in
Constant
that point.
cycles.
Circles, yeah. But as you said, the old needs to be shed and be fragmented so the new can emerge. The problem is that the chaos times in between, the not knowing. So, what do you see as a claircognizant? What is coming to you, and with your experience, what do you see that will take us through this time of chaos? What are really important things to focus on? So we said coherence, connection to nature. What other things you perhaps even practice yourself or teach your clients?
I think. Well, not listening to the news for a start on a practical level.
Unplug.
It's important to have an awareness, um, but not listening. Yeah, just take it with a pinch of salt, and but know what's going on. But I think on a on an individual level, I think for me, I think grounding is really important at the moment. I encourage everyone to just stand on the earth in your bare feet, just have that connection because it brings us back into that harmony. And I think finding um, communities, I think, are really important, sort of bringing people together. Um,
Mm,
remembering to have conversations because it's really easy to stay in the online world or to, just do everything from behind closed doors. And I think particularly with younger children now, and I see them kind of glued to tablets and phones when they're really little. And um, I think that conversation is so important, and
mm,
community, and bringing people together without technology so that they can just speak and connect, and building up that, remembering that heart connection, and that point where you meet someone and you go, oh, I don't know what it is about this person, but I really like them and I just want to talk to them more. And also weeding, I'll call it weeding your garden, and kind of going, well, I don't resonate with that anymore, so I'm just not going to put
mm,
myself in that situation or in amongst those
mm,
people. And I think being discerning um,
mm,
on who and what lights us up and inspires us and makes us feel good, I think that's really important. And yeah, just community and collaboration. It doesn't have to be grand,
yeah,
but it can be small things, but it makes you feel good.
yeah. It feels you grounded, anchored. Maybe the word anchored is coming there. Absolutely, it makes you feel more alive because it's just like sometimes there is the feel like part of you is being dragged away to something else, to a different kind of bubble, and you have to keep yourself kind of back into the center, back into the axis, and remembering that yes, it's there is a real world out there, not just the online world. I mean, I love online world because it allows us to talk here and exchange ideas, and maybe we wouldn't have met otherwise, or we would have met. I don't know, but it just made it easier in some ways. But is just like in everything needs to be in balance,
Yeah.
and there is just so much overwhelm in the online world. I mean, like we practice these things, we guide other people through these things, and yet I notice it on myself. I know what's happening, and yet it's still happening. It's still pulling me, and I have to just keep kind of bringing myself back to the center.
It's so easy, isn't it? And it's especially when when we do work online as well. And again, it's a really core part of my business is being in the online world. Um, but I can get very distracted by it as well. So I can go and write a social media post, and suddenly I've kind of gone, oh, that's interesting, and that's interesting. And before I know it, time's trickling away, and I'm just like, oh, you only went on to write a post or to share something, or
Yeah, and it's just I guess it's teaching us or it's challenging us to learn how to do things differently because it's just like we cannot reject it. And why reject it? It's just here. It's here for some reason. So how do you use it in the best possible way that keeps coherence? And I think it's like a challenger every day, every single day. It's a challenge. It's like, okay, so how are you going to do things differently? So they actually are grounded and they work for you, and you are not in constant overwhelm. Or how do you work with the times when you cannot avoid it and you are in the overwhelm, because overwhelm is another big topic. I bet you have got lots of clients that come to you with overwhelm and then burnout, of course,
yeah,
because that's a big topic I wanted to talk to you about as well, about your experience and what are your views on this?
So I'm really passionate about burnout prevention,
Mm-hmm.
and recovery because I trained as a chronic fatigue recovery specialist in 2012, and it was one of those things that kept knocking at my door. It kept appearing, and I was just like, no, I'm not training in anything else. I've got enough things. I'm not doing that. And then there was this little something was poking me, going, no, you do need to do this. It's like, and I just don't want to do any more training. So of course I did, because it wouldn't go away.
It shows you, that's it, then you
Yeah.
have to do it.
So so I have a very deep knowledge about ME, chronic fatigue, you know, long COVID, which kind of wraps into the same thing, fibromyalgia. So all of those, and then my eldest son, there's a very typical personality profile of people who burn out. Um, they are people pleasers, normally like to achieve a lot, very often highly sensitive but not aware of it. Um, Sometimes feel like a fish out of water, sometimes feel like they don't quite fit in. And then you roll in things like adverse childhood experiences or trauma or various things, and it all kind of,
Mm.
it's not just one thing. It just layers and layers and layers.
Accumulation, yeah.
And my other son was very, a high achiever, very high expectation of himself. He was doing his A levels, and he was starting to seriously burn out. And then he didn't. He went off to uni, had an amazing time, did all the things that you know people do at uni. Played a lot of football, drank a lot of beer, had a lot of fun.
Great time.
But he was having weekends where he slept all weekend, or
Mm.
he was very much peaks and troughs. He was becoming intolerant to certain foods, and I kept saying, oh, you kind of need to look at this. And he was just like a typical young man. It's just like, just leave me alone, mum. Just stop interfering. And then in 2020, he was home and he was doing too much. And I said to him in the February, you cannot sustain this. You are going to burn out.
Mm.
And he was just like, I'm not giving anything up, mum. What can we do? I just sit and watch. And
Mm.
then when lockdown happened and everything stopped, his body just went,
Oh, yeah.
and he had the most monumental burnout. So he ended up, at his worst, he was bedbound.
Mm.
He couldn't tolerate light, sound, people, um,
Mm.
anything. He couldn't get downstairs. It was a really grim time, but thank goodness I knew what it was. Anyway, he focused on his recovery. He's now really fit, healthy. He climbs mountains. He's done high rocks a couple of times. He goes to the
Oh,
gym.
cool.
He's done half marathons. So recovery is 100% possible, but you do have to put the work in, and you do have
Mm.
to make lifestyle changes, and you do have to look at your trauma or your patterns of behavior or all of the things that people kind of lock away in those conscious and subconscious cupboards that they don't want to address.
Mm.
um, they will come back and bite us at some point. So it's a really, but I think it's the most. I would say it's the greatest gift wrapped up in the worst wrapping paper.
I will use profanity. It's wrapped in a shitty paper,
That's
shitty wrap
that's
up,
how I
but
normally say
there
it.
is a gold inside.
I was trying to be polite, but that's
I know, and I had to go there for some reason. It was like because
but it
it
is.
is, it is true. There's more and more of that,
Mm.
and happening around. And I think people often despair, and I'm just like, it's nice that you bring the message that yes, full recovery is possible.
Yeah.
There's also lots of autoimmune issues which
Yeah.
go in hand with burnout. And you mentioned COVID, which is very interesting because that's a very new thing for everyone,
Mm.
even though we all feel like, yeah, it's been here forever now. But no, it's the long COVID, and there's still lots of discussions, but I think the discussions seem somewhat muted, right? Just somewhat in the background. And you have a great article on your Instagram about it. But would you mind just looking at it? Because I think people do not make the connection that you make, or that you posit in your article. What is it about? Because there's lots of discussions by different scientists and healers and so on, but it doesn't seem that some clear picture is emerging yet. What
So
is
my
your
and
outlook?
my perspective is that so very often when people burn out, there will be a trigger. So it might be they have flu or they go on a holiday or a long haul flight or something happens, and they'll say that caused my chronic fatigue, whatever. But that's not the cause. That's the final tipping point. And I think for a lot of people, I think COVID, having COVID was that tipping point for something that had been bubbling around for years. And people can be on the edge of burnout for years and years. We can, and so many people are. And there's just one thing that suddenly flips the switch and the body goes, ah, right, that's it. There's also a lot of correlation with undiagnosed neurodivergency and
Mm-hmm,
burnout,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
particularly in women, because women tend to mask neurodivergency through most of their lives, and they don't know that they're doing it. It's just it's how to show up safely in the world is by masking certain behaviors, and
Learned thing, yeah.
a lot of
Learn.
neurodivergence it's
Mm-hmm,
expressed differently in females to males. So it's a lot more
mm-hmm,
subtle. So if you have years of masking, that's years of pretending. So years of keeping actually your nervous
mm-hmm.
system on that high alert.
Yeah.
And then particularly when perimenopause creeps in and a hormone shifts and the neurodivergence becomes more prevalent, and then it kind of there's this massive correlation with burning out because it's the body's kind of going, oh, everything's changing, and I've been holding everything together, and my nervous system's just been keeping it all together for so long, and then suddenly it's just like I can't, my body can't contain this anymore. So it's a,
Mm,
it's a really interesting subject, and I think um, with our pace of life and
mm,
patriarchal systems and the expectation of women fought for the freedom to work and all the independence and all the rest of it. But um, again, our body clocks are made differently, our hormones are different. So the working world is based on a man's sort of 12 hours on, 12 hours off hormone cycle.
testosterone, the
Yeah.
solar one, yeah, solar
Yeah.
line.
And we have a monthly cycle and we're all over the place, and but we're trying to sort of fit in that box of working to
Mm,
that. So there's so many nuances, and I think there's been this pressure to achieve, or
mm,
success is marked by your materialism or your material worth, and um, I think there's so many elements to it, but I think more and more people are going to burn out.
right. Heading there, and there's the extra pressure of the old system that was comfort zone, even if it was uncomfortable, but it was sort of safety. What we know, what we have known, that's crumbling. So there is more pressure
Mm.
onto our systems that are already in high alert in so many ways. Even if we are not highly, if people are not highly sensitive systems, um, they are still on high alert because of what is happening in the shared field and in the global society and so on. So yes, so we all are to a certain degree experiencing some sort of overwhelm, stress, and burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
The problem is, one of the problems is that because the early warning signs are there, but because we're all under this pressure to keep going, people ignore them. And again, it's that misattunement with the body. It's not listening to what the body's saying. And in the end, the body will speak louder and louder. But the first phase is always denial. So it's just like, in fact, we had a glamping guest stay over Christmas. And this lady turned up with she apologized when she got out of the car and said, I'm sorry, I've got a really bad cold. Don't come near me. And I said, oh, that's fine. And she said, every time I stop and have a holiday, I get ill. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, that's a big red warning sign to me. So I said, if I might put my well-being hat on. And she said, it's all right. I've been to the chemist and stocked up and I've got loads of tablets. And I went, okay. And she said, I just don't take holidays anymore. I'm like,
mm,
oh,
mm,
one day your body's going to make you stop because again, it's just that I've got too much to do, or I'm too busy, or I don't want the discomfort of being ill, or I'm not going to listen to my body. So I'll just push on through and keep going and keep going and keep going. And as I said earlier, you can do that for
until it
years.
breaks. Yeah, until it breaks. Is it an early warning sign? I think people are finally realizing it, like with even a simple flu. It's like you're having some symptoms, you pop a few pills and keep going. That was the first kind of signaling of the body. You keep going, you will have the, let's say, orange light signaling. You ignore that, and there is the red light because the body will stop you. I mean, be it migraine, be it fever, be it virus, be it whatever. And it could be an injury as well, as
Mm.
like it will stop you in some way that it finds in its way. You know, it's like, oh, here is an opportunity. Look, virus is coming by. Yeah, let's grab it because we need to stop this person before she or he just really kills themselves and it goes into something worse like disease that is in such a stage that it's really hard to turn around. But we all, I know, I can hear certain people, and even part of my brain is saying that, and I know better, is saying, yeah, but understand it, but I have to live in this world, and I have to earn the money, and I have to, pay the bills. So how do I do this with those pressures that so what would be your answer?
And I mean, I have so many patterns in myself that I recognize, and I've always been a doer, so just I like to get things done, and my and I have this. I'll sit and relax when I've done this, and when I've done this, and when I've done this. So I have to talk really firmly to myself as well. Just that can wait. You actually, what's your body saying right now? And I think we do have to live in this world, um, but I think it's learning to listen to the body in the first place, or just because so many people are so completely disconnected that they can't even sense what's going on in the body unless it's huge, but where the nervous system regulation or tuning back into that connection with the body is so key, because then you can be led by your body's guidance, and it is so wise. um, and simple things like making time to properly switch off and relax and unwind, and that doesn't mean sitting in front of a TV and watching I don't know, some drama or something, because that's still keeping you on edge. It's actually, again, this is why nature is so important, and just going and sitting in nature, or sitting against a tree, or going for a walk without a phone and without distractions, and just giving yourself time to go and go. It's all balance.
Yeah, yeah, and you didn't even say anything like explain it in the word. You just did that, and my system recognized what you did and did the same. So, oh, that's it. Yes, I think it's sometimes hard, as you say, when people are so disconnected from their bodies because that's the way they were taught or they were led, that that's the type of lifestyle that is sort of normal. Then it's really difficult to actually explain it through kind of logic because it's still in the head. They need to have this moment like we had, even more so. It's like actually they feel it through the body, then they understand it, and then they can put it back into their words. So it's like as you were talking, I was just remembering my 15 years ago, I was working for on in a unit of Thames Valley Police when we were working on critical and serious incidents. And I remember I was always like doer and I was just like overachiever and all that typical, and yet highly sensitive system in that environment. Can you imagine? And
I yeah that
and it's like I would be sitting there after a whole day, a full day, and maybe I was just doing extra shift because critical incident could hit any time. So I would be like falling asleep and I would be called back and I would have to like scramble and go back. And then it was no time going back home. I would stay over for the next thing. And then I would be sitting there typing a report. And I would have migraine and I could see only a little bit and I would still be finishing the report because that's my responsibility and my duty. And now I have some deadlines because I also work with independent publishing and I'm finishing some kind of book and I can feel myself getting tired and I know I have to go make myself a cup of tea and sit in my front garden that is really wild and look up at the sky. So instead of this, I'll do that and my body. And it doesn't have to be like holiday for a whole week. It just has to be these little but regular things when my body gives me that signal. But that was a long journey to get to that, So, but I'm somewhere totally different, and I still catch myself occasionally kind of shifting to the old pattern. But now I know. Now I know because it's like, oh, yeah, there is contraction. Yes, no. Even that little contraction is already telling me what's happening. Let's go back and do the remedial thing.
yeah.
Oh, the birds are singing, and there is a space up there that is deep and wide and empty, and it's great, and my body can just.
I I love how you've spoken into that because I think that the greatest thing is that it can be micro moments. It doesn't have to be anything long or big, or you don't have to. Looking after your well-being can be really simple, and if we've all got things that we have to do, and particularly if you've got deadlines and responsibilities to other people, but it can just be 5-10 minutes of stepping away from the laptop and getting breathing. Such a simple thing, but breathing properly rather than the shallow breath that we all get sucked into because we forget to breathe, and, or just looking at the sky, or just holding, just
Yeah, if you
literally
need the
sit and
yeah, if
hold.
you need the other, yeah, it's just.
There's so
I
many.
loved, I love that exercise you were showing in the 12 days of wellness that we ran over the Christmas.
It's
Would you mind?
I
Because it was awesome.
I find
Simple.
this. It was it's for me. It's one of the most profound and really soothing and relaxing um, exercises. Like when I was doing my somatic embodiment training, this is one of the ones, and I was just like, wow. For me, I love it, and it just works so well. And it's just again, it's really really simple, but you just very gently place your fingertips on your top of your head, and even just holding it builds up that connection with ourselves again. and then just with it's a light touch, and it's just really slowly just moving your hands just around your scalp, and it creates this intimacy, particularly when you sort of touch your face. And
Mm.
um, the word intimacy is just like into me, I see. So you start to feel into yourself.
Mm.
It's just, it's delicious,
Oh, it is. It's yummy.
and it's so soothing, and you can just feel the whole body kind of going.
Yeah, yeah, immediately as we did that, and even it's just like I just remembered your video with that, and like, yeah, the whole system does this, and I love the simplicity of it because um the most of the world lives in the head, and there is just so complex. The intellectual world is so complex, and I had nothing against that. I think it's a fantastic tool and it's a fantastic aspect of us, but it's overworked. And just when we go for simplicity like this, we don't have to look for just complex thing. We don't have to, as you said, do a week of some kind of somatic training because it's like, and we do that naturally if you think about it. When our head is too full and we are trying to resolve something and we are not getting there, we just do this naturally. The body
Mm,
knows. Just do that, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's there. It's just I have to allow it. It's just, oh, why am I doing this? Oh, yes, yes. Let's just hold myself. The body knows what to do. If I stop just 100% relying only on the head and allow the head to relax, and also start relying on the other half of my resources, which is the body and the wisdom of it. And I just love that you work with it. You just, this is what you accompany people with along with their journey. Like, yes, I can show you these things, I can give you these tools, and then you can just take them and make them yours and apply them
yeah.
the way you need to. So let's see what you're actually offering this year for people, what they can come to you for.
I am offering personalized retreats because I love doing that work, and they're kind of, it's a deep, well, I call it wellness. Again, the word, I know what wellness means to me, but it's for me it's the mind, body, soul. It's all levels of us. So and it's very much tailored to what the individual needs. But because we've got this amazing resource of the glamping site, it's just people come and stay. We do work together. Some of it will be nature based. Some of it will be subconscious work. It might be trauma work, but really tailored to what somebody needs to feel better about themselves, to feel better about
Mm-hmm.
their life, to be able to step out of the overwhelm and learn to listen to that body wisdom. Uh, because I think when we nurture ourselves, we look after everyone else so much better. If we're exhausted, we can't look after anyone else. And whether you've got children, aging parents, business, all the responsibilities, when we are truly nourished, then we can manage all of that better.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one element of what I'm offering this year. Um, I have another little project, my secret project, which is
Hey.
because I love self-sufficiency and I do so many things. I want to set up like a separate Instagram sharing all the little things that I do around the land and looking after things and growing. And
Oh,
so
nice.
that's kind of something it's going to be a bit of a passion project, just because I want to share things with people,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's fun, and it's kind of making use of all our resources. And I am also redoing my I do a 4 week nervous system program. Um,
Okay.
So it's called Recalibrate. It's online, small
See.
groups, but it's literally a 4 week reset, and that gets again really lovely results. And it gives people a toolkit so they can, at the end of the
Mm.
4 weeks, they've got loads of different practices that they can kind of go, ah, this works for me, that doesn't work for me, or it's just reminders. So I will be relaunching that very soon, and more events here.
Fantastic. So there's lots that we can look forward to from your side of the
And
land, and
and tell
we
me,
will then.
what are you doing this year? Because I'm intrigued as well.
Oh, well, I have run personalized individual one-to-one retreats as well for the past 3 years, and it's also a passion of mine. But this year I will be opening possibly only two openings this year. Yes, here in the land under the wave near the Uffington Whitehorse, near the Ridgeway. But I will be actually teaching more this year. The past years I was doing more one-off workshops, these individual retreats, and one-to-one long-term mentorships. And this year is like shifting. I'm still in the process of things kind of, showing themselves for this year because each year seems to be different. So I will be teaching two cohorts. That I call the Wudang Temple Path, and that's basically me giving tools and modalities that I have learned from my Taoist practice and staying in China in the Taoist temple and learning from a teacher. So that's going to be a lot to work with the body, mind, energy um, on the Taoist side, so 5 elements, working with the elements and so on. But there's also a much, much smaller and kind of secret group that is going to work its patterns of power, where we are really going inside the system, into the living patterns, and learning how to work with them, which kind of demands people already having their nervous system settled and knowing themselves, have some experience working with energy, with their body, going in the internal layers. So that's being cooked in the cauldron at the moment. And then I will be doing workshops here and there as well. As and when they just ask me, it's like it's just the idea comes in, says, I need to do this, so I will kind of put it out there within probably just like a few weeks time or a few days. It comes through. Okay, I will respond. It will go out. So it's mostly to do with body energy, um, 4 elements, the Western 4 elements, the Eastern 5 elements, and working with the land, the sacred stewardship. That's something that is going to go through this year, and it will be partially online and partially offline. So it's a mix. Again, I'm trying
Yeah.
to keep the balance. So that's what I'm, and more writing. Hopefully, I just really want to come back to writing. So that's me for this year, and it's
I
still kind
love
of being cooked.
I love that we are so similar in that it's just like something comes through and it's just like, oh, this is what you need to be doing. Because when you ask me about this year, I'm just like, this year? Well, I've only got as far as March, maybe, because it's a very responsive thing. It's just like, oh, this is what you need to be doing. People need this right now, so this is what you need to do, and it's fast and it's kind of like, do it, get it out.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. This different type of creation than we are used to from before. And it's also hard to do evergreens, so-called evergreens, because what I offered last year or last few years, it's probably no longer happening for the following years. So I was just like really responding to the living. That's what we are doing. We are responding to the living present moment, what needs to be for now. And I cannot tell, we just can't tell what is going to be in a year because things are changing. The energy currents are flowing fast, new things are coming in, so it's just go with the flow.
Yeah.
And listen to what wants to come through us, into the world.
It's a trusting ride though, isn't it? It's always that having that deep trust that um, the things will come through and that people will be ready to receive it, because I think sometimes it lands well, things land well with me, but other people aren't quite ready to receive it. And then, sort of, about a year later, it's starting to land with people.
Yeah, and it's nice to see because like things that were coming through, um, the claircognizant channel, all the themes and topics that's just 2, 3 years ago. It was ahead of time because now everyone is kind of coming out with it because it's so strong in the field now. It's just like landing in
Yeah.
all the layers. But it's like you were catching it, like you know, back there a few years before. And it's also difficult to actually learn. Yes, you are ahead of your time. That's why it's maybe not catching,
Mm,
or that's why everyone is catching up now because it's about the timing. It's like you heard it back there, or you were catching it, you were already connecting back there because that's one of your roles in this life. It's like
yeah.
trendsetter. It's yeah, it's interesting, just like learning to dance with all of this. And we were talking again before we started to record. We were talking about that we share something that is called claircognizant, and it's just knowing. It's just how we receive things, and you said it needs to be spoken about more because when we were starting, there was not much information about it, and there were more speaking about clairvoyance, like seeing things. And that was the main channel, or that was perceived as the main thing. But actually, claircognizance is really difficult to explain, and it's also difficult to accept and trust within ourselves.
It is.
Because there is the thing that everything in our life, in our world, is focused on thinking. And then when you know something, how do you recognize that it's not this knowing, but it's a different type of knowing?
It, yeah, because it doesn't come from logic, or it's, I think for me, the difference, it feels different, and it's just something, it's a deep knowing. And it's really hard to kind of, even, you can't say how you know it, because it's nothing to do with reading or hearing, or it's just something that almost lands in your bones, and it's just like this.
I laugh. It's like that's claircognizance in action because I was thinking it lands in your bones and it's just comes through your bone. That's it. I usually explain it like you know it with your whole being, not just your whole body, but your whole being. Every aspect of you. It's just not only here. It's not only in the body. It's just like you know it. But then when someone demands, how do you know it? It's really difficult to explain. It's like, I just know it. And then you are kind of questioning yourself. Is it real? Can I trust it? It's just like I know it now instantly, but the head wants to have the logic behind it, right?
Yeah. And it's also learning to trust it so much that your head doesn't get in the way, because the logical mind is really wants to interfere and and sort of find justification, or go, no, that's daft, And for me, it's my, well, who do you think you are to be
Mm,
knowing this or saying this? Who do you think you are? And that's my negative voice, is my judgmental voice, and it's just my, I guess, my a shadow side. And then I just have to go, that how many times have I been right when I've known things? oh, okay, you just have to trust it.
Yeah, yeah, you just have to do this kind of little check in. I was like, yeah, yeah, no, I'm standing in this firmly. Yeah, that's okay. But in some ways, that a little doubt is not a bad thing. It just keeps you, clear and on your toes and just like and self-responsible. But just too much doubt can create so incoherence and
Mm.
much fragmentation within that it's really painful. So I'm glad when I have got to the point when I could do what you just described, just like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I just did my little check, and I'm pretty sure I am standing in this firmly, and yeah, it makes sense. I can trust it." Well, we have actually covered quite a lot today. Is there anything though that you still feel is kind of knocking on the door and wants to be spoken about today in this space here and now through us? Is there something
The
that you
only
want?
thing that's knocking is to say we didn't plan our outfits.
We didn't plan our outfit. We just synchronized.
Yeah, that's claircognizance
Oh,
at its finest.
yeah, perfect synchronization.
Yeah.
Right, so have we covered everything today?
I think so. I think we've covered a lot. So we've covered
We,
a lot of different topics. And we could,
we have been meandering quite a lot, but
yeah,
the current went in that specific direction that it wanted to go. Well, so thank you so much for this beautiful dance, for this beautiful synchronizing, for making time and space for this discussion, for this conversation. I really appreciate it. And I will be looking forward to co creating some more in the future.
I would love to. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.